Look, I'm 63, and now I'm realizing because it is a true phenomenon for me at my age anyway, and plus with modern events, modern technology, the world has unfolded before me, and so that's what I want to say to you, my grandchildren. The world has unfolded before you because it unfolded before me, and so I know it already unfolded. Now it unfolded before you. Look, you can look everything up on YouTube. Anything you want to know about, you can find on YouTube. When you watch it, I hope you don't grow deaf and blind to what you see. So look, my talks I wanted to kind of put under the rubric of behold, right? Because that's stuff that's worth seeing. I mean, look, the word behold for me, I think it comes from a Christmas song when I learned when I was in kindergarten, I can't actually remember what that Christmas song was, but it uses the word behold. And I know it's there, and I'm going to have to look at all the Christmas songs and see which one of them uses the word behold, I guess. I don't know, behold the baby. Maybe it's Away in the Manger, I don't know. It's one of those songs that you learn early on, at least when I was a kid. Away in the manger, no room for a crib, lay the little baby Jesus away in the, stuff like that. And, well, I got this little book here, and it's a play. I'm already that far through it. It ain't hard to read. There's not much in there. But when I was looking at every brilliant thing, and I was looking up something else about every, not brilliant thing, but every beautiful thing. I was looking up every beautiful thing on my phone, on the internet. I typed in every beautiful thing because there's something I was thinking about, and can't remember actually now what it was. I think I might have talked about it maybe, but it made reference in my mind to the how would you describe that? To the precipice, I don't know, to the edge of the cliff, and looking out down into the valley, looking all over the expanse of maybe I've done it like in the, can't remember where my son was born. He was born in Charlottesville, but Isaac, but he came from the valley. His mom came from the valley, down in Waynesboro, Virginia, and where the DuPont factory was. There's one way going down 64 is the Shenandoah Road, the Shenandoah Valley or something, and the other way, which I'm more familiar with, I did go down to Shenandoah before, but you got to pay, more, I think. You got to pay more. I don't know. But on the other way, it starts with an A, and I can't remember what the name of it is, even though that's the one I went down all the time. I mean, I drove the MG down that road, that MG. I talked MG. It's supposed to be Isaac's, but it's a fun car to drive down those roads. I can't remember the name of that road, but it's those mountains, and they start with an A, and it's opposite of the Shenandoah, and then you go the other way and another ridge of mountains. And anyway, it's kind of like that, you know. You go over the first time I actually went rock climbing, it was there. I can't remember the name. It's amazing. But it was there. First time I actually really went rock climbing. My friend Pete took us out there. It wasn't just me. I know my kids went. At least Amber and Adam went with me. And Pete. And it was a little bit more dirty. And but nevertheless, I mean, it's still rock climbing, you know. I mean, you know, you roped off at the tree way above and you climb. Hey, I started rock climbing before I actually started kayaking, you know. Funny thing about that is I used to rock climb a lot. And climb the wall down in Richmond, called it the Wall. Right below Legends Brewery, where I used to love to go. And that's where I met my my barmaid Joy. Right, I talked about. That's where they had the dartboard. You know. That's where they had the chicken wings. That's where they had the 7-layer dip. Okay. All good times. And fellowship. So I could talk about that. It makes me happy, actually, thinking about those days. They were beautiful days to me. When I would climb the face of the wall, that was like my salvation. I mean, climbing the wall. See, when you're up there climbing, you know, and you don't have really big footholds and big handholds, and you know, you're taking a risk, but you're on a rope, and so, you know, if you fall, the rope is going to stretch because it's an elastic kind of rope, you know, not a stiff rope, so you don't get a big jar. But and it's rated for, you know, so many pounds and everything like that, you know. As long as it's not dry rotted or anything, you're pretty safe. But I look forward to climbing because that's the only thing I could do to get the weight off my chest and off my mind of the pressure of I'm just going through a lot of stuff, you know, with my son's mother, you know, fighting me every way and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, I can't remember now, like what the whole all of the pressure was from, but it never left. It was constantly, it stayed on me constantly, heavy. You talk about like people might, you might have read or something, or maybe in the church hymnal, or if you go to church, I don't know. But if you ever did, you know, some people might talk about a burden. Like a burden is what you put on a beast, you know. Like I think the Rolling Stones got a song even called "The Beast of Burden" or something. But you know, it's a burden is what you put. It's a weight that you put on a beast to carry it. You know, there's too much for you to carry. Well, Jesus is supposed to take away our heavy burden, but he didn't take away this heavy burden. Couldn't take that heavy burden away. Anyway, I wasn't asking him to take it away anyway. I knew it was mine to bear. And but the only way I could ever get any relief and escape from that was to go climbing. Because when I went climbing, you can't. When you're afraid about falling, you know, it takes your mind off of your otherly concerns. And freedom in climbing the wall, you know. And the wall is like a metaphor anyway. You know, I made reference earlier, you know, Tweeter and the Monkey Man, the walls came tumbling down and stuff like that. Well, the wall, you know, there's walls, you know. Pink Floyd, they did a song about the wall when USSR I think in reference to USSR when the wall came down, and that was like in the 90s, you know. I remember that. I was young enough to be aware of that and stuff, and old enough and young enough. But the thing is, I'm just saying, I don't know how I got off on the wall, but yeah. I swear, now I really gotta, now like I'm back on the wall. But anyway, I have to kind of backtrack now. I don't even know where I was. I got this book, A Brilliant Thing. Yeah, it was talking in here about it's a play, and you know, it's really brought back memories to me because, you know, he's you know, the dog has to be put to sleep and stuff, and there's a little kid in the play, and they go through this thing, you know, about, you know, the little kid asking why, and then it reminded me of when I was a little kid asking why, and my dad telling me, specifically remember my dad, you know, telling me like, you know, like, don't ask why, or quit asking why, you know. He got tired of me asking why. You know, it goes in here like, well, I'll try to read it without glasses. You know, okay, so he says, Dad says, put on your seatbelt. The kid asks why. Because cars can be dangerous. The kid asks why. Because other drivers don't always pay attention. The kid asks why. Well, because there's lots to think about when you're grown up. There are bills to pay, and work to do, and relationships to sustain, and there's never enough time to do it all. And the kid asks why. Actually, in this thing, it's the audience. The audience takes part in the play. Audience is actually acting like the kid. And Dad says, because there are only 24 hours in a day. The kid asks why. Well, because that's how long it takes for the Earth to rotate. Kid asks why. Because I don't know. Kid asks why. Because I don't know everything. Kid asks why. Because that's impossible. Kid asks why. Because there's only so much anyone can know. The kid asks why. Because if you were able to know everything, then life would be unlivable. Because if you were able to know everything, then life would be unlivable. The kid asks why. Because then there would be no mystery, no curiosity, no creativity, no conversion, no discovery. Nothing would be new, and we'd have no need to use our imagination, and our imaginations are what makes life bearable. I'd have to reread that whole thing again just to make sure you got that. And he asks, the guy says, I don't know everything. Kid asks why. Because that's impossible. Kid asks why. Because there's only so much anyone can know. The kid asks why. Because if you were able to know everything, then life would be unlivable. The kid asks why. Because then there would be no mystery, no curiosity, no creativity, no conversion, no discovery. Nothing would be new, and we'd have no need to use our imagination, and our imaginations are what make life bearable. The kid asks why. Because in order to live in the present, we have to be able to imagine a future that will be better than the past. Kid asks why. Because that's what hope is, and without hope, we couldn't go on. The kid asks why. Because can you just put your seatbelt on? The kid asks why. Because we're going to the hospital. The kid asks why. Because that's where your mother is. The kid asks why. Because she hurt herself. Why? Because she's sad. Why? I don't know. Why? I just don't know. Why? Put on your seatbelt. Because your mother is in the hospital. Why? Because she can't see anything worth living for. Okay, that's why. At least that's how I... Okay, now the narrator comes in. At least that's how I like to remember it. We actually just sat in silence. The only thing he said to me was, your mother's done something stupid. I didn't know what that meant. I'm really looking forward to finishing this story. It's a play. But, yeah, because it reminded me of, like, actually doing that myself, you know? Everything that you see, you want to say why? Eh? Behold, you know? See, we all are born saying why. And then the angel comes along and says, behold. Okay? And that's what I was wanting to talk about, you know. Wow, I lost it again. Behold, why? Well, you know, we ask why. Behold the world. The world has unfolded. That's what it was. Behold, the world has unfolded. Okay? And so at this, you know, juncture in the road that I travel, I look at everything I'm not going to say differently, but it's sort of like just a privilege for me to actually see things from a panoramic view. Like, I don't know. I don't want to throw out words that would, like, be cliche or anything. It's kind of hard to not use cliche. But sometimes, you know, we search for the words that can best describe our sentiment and our regard. Now, these are words I'm comfortable in using. I've used the word regard ever since I read a magazine article with, I think her name was Ella McPherson. I think she was an actor, and she was talking about regard, and I it hit me. It wrote like right on my heart. You know, ever since then I've always gave regard. Like it opened up a whole channel in me. Like I could see things through regard, okay? And I could talk about things from the point of regard. And the world has unfolded, and I have now regard. So I got on this vest, you know, because I was thinking about, you know, Cherokee people. My dad married a woman, Dorothy, and I don't know can't remember what her, you know, her unmarried name was, like what her original name was. But you know, she's Cherokee. I mean, her father was full Cherokee, her mother was full Cherokee, and she was from Kentucky. And Cherokee, the people are from Kentucky. And my older stepbrother is like, well, Steve especially, you know, he was older. And the song Cherokee People came on when we were camping out. I remember him liking that song, you know, turning that song up. Cherokee People by Paul Revere and the Raiders. Cherokee tribe, so proud to live, so proud to die, all across the nation. Oh yeah, see, Sport knows. I don't know if you can hear Sport barking. He's barking. Hey, he can feel my spirit, see, and he knows deep within him the Cherokee people. He knows Indian people. I can tell looking at Sport. He's been around. Like if he's a deeper soul, he's been around. He's been around the natives, the indigenous people of America, people who were in touch with the earth and the sky, and you know, the buffalo and the animals. You know, respected them, loved them, but still hunted, because when they killed the buffalo, for example, I mean, it was sacred. See, it was a sacred act. They didn't do it lightly. They weren't like when the white people came in and just slaughtered them all just for their skin. No, every part of the buffalo, every piece, every bone, you know, every tooth, everything, every organ, it was life to them, and they thanked the buffalo. The buffalo were a big deal, you know. Well, I mean, the same thing with other animals. You know, I really, my dad was a hunter, but you know, fortunately, I'm glad that I never really hunted and got used to like killing animals, because it's